Hello, I'm Evan Brand, certified functional medicine practitioner and nutritional therapist, talking with you today about reversing depression in 6 weeks. Now, some of the people are going to say, oh, this is a clickbait title. There's no way you can do that. It just happened yesterday. I had a client who was 16 years old. His parents reached out to me. They were up in Maine, I believe. I'm in Kentucky, work virtually. And the teenager was dealing with depression, anger, irritability, anxiety issues. Now he's off at like some nature retreat, which I think is a great thing for him that his parents are paying for. But before we did all that, we tested him and we figured out the thing that I've been saying for the last almost 10 years, which is that gut issues are a primary cause of depression. So what we did first is we tested him, and then we ran what's called a GI map, which is a DNA-based stool panel that we send to someone's house. They complete the panel, ship it back to the lab, and then what you can discover on there are some of the biggest causes of depression that I've seen. So this could include parasites, this can include H. pylori, which is a bacterial infection that causes you not to digest your food like you should. This could be SIBO, which I don't really like that term, but that means bacterial overgrowth. It's migrated up north into the small intestine. And then we've got Candida, which is a big one. There's about 20 different types of Candida, but typically we're seeing Candida albicans. Antibiotics, birth control pills, pesticides, sugar, those are some of the big culprits that contribute to Candida. Heavy metals also play a role in Candida as well. That could be from like silver fillings. So you've got to test and you've got to figure out what's going on. Now, this stool test is really good, but it does miss Candida quite a lot. So what we also run is we run an OAT test, which is an organic acids panel. I've done a couple videos on that. Organic acids testing is a urine sample where we can look for a gas called arabinose. I'll write it over here. Arabinose is a gas that Candida produces specifically. It's like measuring your tailpipe when you take your car in for emissions testing. And if we see elevated arabinose, we know that there's a Candida problem. And that's impairing with digestion and absorption of nutrients. Think of a competition. Every time you eat, if you've got all these bad guys here trying to eat, they're stealing your nutrients. Of course you're going to be depressed because you're getting depleted. On this same organic acids test, we can look for a marker that's called HVA for short, homovanillanic acid, and this looks at the levels of dopamine in the brain. And typically with depression, we're going to see a lowered dopamine. A lot of people think serotonin with depression, but that's not necessarily true. If it's anxiety, if it's low self-esteem, obsessive thoughts, behaviors, OCD, that type of thing, that may be more serotonin related. But a lot of times, lack of energy, drive, focus, concentration, you get bored easily, that's more related to the HVA and dopamine. And we can fix that using a tyrosine, which is an amino acid. I did a whole video on that, so I don't want to get too off topic here. I'll link you to the amino acid video. But let's just talk about what we did. So we investigated, we found some of these infections, which is step 2. And then step 3 is you have to fix them. Now, if you go to a conventional doctor or a gastroenterologist, first of all, they don't even know what this test is. It's very advanced. It's new to the market. They're trained on antigen-based testing or microscopy, which is outdated. It would have probably missed the H. pylori. Just Google for yourself H. pylori false negative rate, and you can see that the conventional gastro docs, they miss this stuff all the time. Let's say they did find it, or let's say you found a doc that actually knew how to read and interpret that test, and they saw the H. pylori. What they would have done is they would have done triple therapy, which are 3 antibiotics at the same time. Now there's a new technology coming out called quadruple therapy, which is, guess what? They do 4 antibiotics at the same time. I've had many clients come to me after that, and it doesn't work, meaning I test them, they still have the infection that they got put on 4 antibiotics to supposedly fix. So it doesn't work. It's just so crazy. So fix would be herbs, and I have several different formulas. I'll just write down the protocol I typically use. It's my formula microbiome support 1, 2, and 3. And these are basically like a triple therapy, but it's all herbs. And I've done this about 1,000 times to eradicate my own H. pylori infection and parasites, as well as many, many other people. There's other stuff. I'm not going to give you the full protocol because I don't want you piecing this stuff together. You've got to make sure that you're working with someone to mitigate any symptoms or other issues. There could be ulcers going on. There could be other things. And the protocol I used on this guy may not be the protocol you need to do. So that's just the disclaimer. But the microbiome support 1, 2, and 3, generally what I use to address a lot of different type of infections. And then step 4, retest. This depends on the symptoms. With this guy, with this teenager, he's feeling so good. I spoke with him and his mom yesterday. No depression, no more anxiety. The mom and the dad both had a conversation behind the scenes that he's a lot easier to be around. The parents are saying, wow, look at the difference, and it was 6 weeks. That's why I said you can reverse depression in 6 weeks. I asked the kid, because before he was so down in the dumps, I said, so tell me about your depression. He goes, oh, I'm not depressed anymore. And he kind of just said it nonchalantly, and here I am with my jaw dropped. I'm like, holy crap, that was fast, 6 weeks. That was all we did in terms of the protocol. I don't even think he's all the way through the 6 weeks, and he's already saying he's not depressed. Now, here's the caveat, though. You can't get too excited and just start eating a bunch of sugar and garbage again. You got to make sure you have a good post-infection plan. So if there are infections, you've got to make sure you re-inoculate the gut with probiotics. I use various different species. I have several different professional grade formulas I use. You've got to make sure that the gut is healed up. So I use things like zinc carnosine, slippery elm, etc. Specifically, I'm using the formula I have with him called GI Soothe, and that is my leaky gut formula. So I'm using that. We'll probably 6 to 8 weeks, maybe 2 bottles worth of that, plus a probiotic, plus digestive enzymes. And that plan should heal everything up. So if he had a leaky gut situation causing depression, we're going to seal the tight junctions back up, and hopefully he stays happy and his mood doesn't go backwards. Now, if he starts eating a bunch of pizza and grains and sugar and staying up too late playing video games, is he going to get depressed again? It's probable, but with dialing in the diet, the lifestyle, removing the root causes, you can be free from depression. I was depressed for a decade. I had a whole video just about that I'll put up here. And it's something that can be fixed. And it's not a deficiency of antidepressant drugs. Have they saved people's lives from committing suicide and doing harm to themselves or others? Probably. But is it the root cause? Definitely not. So I hope that helps. If you'd like to reach out, you can just click on screen. Look forward to talking to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.